Well, 14 months ago, Washington became the 21st state to legalize sports betting, and yet there was still no way to legally bet on the PGA Championship this weekend or anything else for that matter. Joining us now is Johnny Walker, Executive Director of Gaming Operations at Muckleshoot Casino in Auburn. Johnny, 15 tribes across the state have recently come to an agreement with the State Gambling Commission on sports betting compacts. So what does that mean for all of us? When will we finally be able to place some sports bets?
Well, Aaron, it's been a long and tedious process. As we know of March in 2020, we did get it legalized. So we are negotiating compacts. It does need to go to the governor. There does need to be a federal review. I would say that we're going to be able to bet on this year's football season. It may not be a preseason, but I'm really optimistic and hopeful that we'll have the opportunity to place wagers this year.
Also, to clarify, the process at this point is the State Gambling Commission still has to formally approve these compacts. The governor then has to sign it, and then it goes to the federal government for final approval by the Department of the Interior Secretary. Realistically, you're thinking that's going to be by the start of football season?
Well, again, I'm being optimistic. So that is the goal. The process, unfortunately, is tedious. There's a lot of still questions because it's new for the state of Washington. But we feel that with the number of tribes that have already negotiated their compact, that we understand where we need to be. We're there, and now it's just doing the rest of the process.
So what exactly will people be able to bet on when this finally goes into effect? Because I know there's a lot of frustration out there that we're not allowed to get on DraftKings right now or do daily fantasy betting. What's the scope of sports betting that will be offered when it's finally available?
So the list of wagers that will be available will be at the locations and published on the Washington State website. It's hard for me to sit here today and tell you exactly what that would be because each wagering provider, whether it be your FanDuel, your DraftKings, your William Hill, your Cambies, they all have different offerings. So it's really going to depend on what's negotiated with the provider to each of the tribes and the different properties.
So futures, I'm assuming, will be offered by somebody out there. Like if I want to bet before the season for the Seahawks to win the Super Bowl, we'll probably be able to do that somewhere?
I believe you will. I don't believe this year, but I think absolutely that's going to be a wager available.
Well, in looking at the compacts, people will be able to place bets on their cell phones, but the wording is something like, only within the premises of a tribal casino. That includes adjacent areas. So does that mean all I have to do is pull up to the parking lot of a casino and then place my bet on my phone?
Well, what's interesting about that is I don't understand how that's become an issue. Let's just talk about the truth and the history. Gaming was first authorized in legislation on Indian land. Later, it was defined as on-premise. So you've always been able to, if you wanted to, bet in the parking lot, on a golf course, in the C-store. So nothing's changed, and I'm not sure why that all of a sudden is an issue on the table today.
Well, I guess my question is there ever going to be are we ever going to have an opportunity to go through a tribal casino's website and place a bet from the comfort of one's home instead of having to go to, say, a parking lot or anywhere on the premises of a tribal casino?
So with the initial rollout of sports betting, the answer is no. Do we see that as a possible in the future? Absolutely. It's interesting, again, how people are so concerned of, it's expansion of gaming. If you look at the horse racing industry, currently they do that. You can bet on your phone at home and bet horse racing, but I'm not sure why that doesn't translate over to a tribal casino very well.
Johnny, you just mentioned, the tribes have consistently argued for responsible gaming, and they've argued against the expansion of sports betting in privately owned card rooms, saying it would be irresponsible to do that. So my question is, how is betting from a parking lot of a tribal casino any different from betting from a privately owned card room?
So let's talk about the tribes and their history right now. They've done such a great job in years in regulating gambling. They partnered with the state of Washington and been very good at doing so. The tribes understand and strive for integrity, and they just do a great job at it. and they have the resources to ensure that it's done. And, I think their track record speaks pretty well for their ability to do that.
Listen, I don't want to seem unsympathetic to those who have had loved ones battling betting addictions, but I also know it has not prevented this state from loosening laws on the accessibility of other addictive things like alcohol or marijuana. At the end of the day, I think responsible adults should be able to bet on any sports from wherever they please. That's my personal take. So what would you say to critics out there that say the tribes are hiding behind the idea of responsible gaming just to monopolize all the revenue?
No, I don't think they're hiding at all. Unfortunately, people don't give the tribes enough credit for the role they play in responsible gaming. They go above and beyond what is reasonable to help and assist anyone who may have an addiction, and they have plenty of programs and sponsor a lot for responsible gaming, far more than probably any pull tab lottery or anything else.
Well, either way, at this point, I've said it before, in this case, beggars can't be choosers. I'm glad we've made some progress in this arena either way. And whatever happens, I look forward to the ability to place bets at a tribal casino very soon. Johnny Walker, Executive Director of Gaming Operations at Muckleshoot Casino in Auburn. I want that futures bet this year for the Seahawks. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you soon.
I'd love to get that to you. Thanks for having me.